My name's Alison.
And this is a story about you.
Yes.
You're injured. Okay,
Yeah.
tell us all about it.
I mean, I've watched some of the Periscope videos and the Vax videos, and my story's nothing in comparison to what some people have suffered. But I travel a lot with my work. I spend a lot of time travelling around India. And so the nurse at my doctor's practice talked me into having Hep B vaccines, which after I researched them, I really didn't need. But
What did she say? Tell us what she said.
Well, they basically said it's a higher risk country for Hep B, and like, if you're out there long term, 3 months at a time, you don't know if you might need emergency dental treatment or end up in hospital. So maybe just have it in case. So I asked them. I specifically asked the right questions. I asked them, are there any risks at all? And the nurse said to me, and I quote her word for word, the worst that can happen is that you'll get localised inflammation on the site where we jab you. Yeah, that's the worst. Maybe she said the size would be, I can't remember if she said a 2p or 10p coin, but either way, I think what I suffered was rather worse than localised swelling. So it's a course of 3 jabs that you have. I had the first one, and I just felt a little bit unwell for the next couple of days, but I didn't really put 2 and 2 together. And you know, you can have days where you feel a little bit off, so I didn't relate it to the vaccine. But then when I had the second one, I was pretty much bedridden for 2 weeks. It was just absolutely exhausted. All I wanted to do was sleep. I didn't leave the house. Everything ached, my joints ached like sting, and I had a really intense pain in the pit of my stomach as well. But I just didn't want to move. I didn't want to see anyone. I wanted to sit in a dark room. And I think at that point it's like, yeah, maybe it is the vaccine. But I can't remember what the schedule is for the Hep B, but it was a while before I had to go back for the third one. But I made a doctor's appointment to go and talk about what had happened. My stomach had swollen up actually, but it just played havoc with my digestive system. I think I probably went to the doctor's 2 weeks after the second vaccination, and the doctor's attitude was, there's no way it can be vaccine related. You've developed IBS. And there's no cure for IBS, so we'll put you on this medicine for life.
What medicine did they put you on?
I can't remember because I didn't take it. By that point, I'd done a bit of research online and put 2 and 2 together. But I haven't got IBS because my symptoms have nearly gone. They've changed significantly. I've done fasting and stuff and gradually got myself back to health. But for the whole year it happened, I just went down with everything that went around. I was so run down. I got everything that came around.
Were you able to continue working?
Yes and no. I'm self-employed, so I can kind of choose what I do, but I didn't have the energy to do any of my promotional work that I'd usually do, which gets the work in. So my work definitely took a hit. But I wasn't disabled. The first 2 weeks I couldn't do anything, but after that,
I'm just thinking about all the people that didn't have the instinct you did to go and research that would have taken the IBS diagnosis.
And they tried to get me to take the third one as well. She was like, no, this is IBS, it's unrelated. I'm not filing the yellow card. I asked her if she would and she refused to. I said, I believe it's a vaccine injury. I want it reported. And she's like, no, it's IBS.
And take another vaccine.
Yeah. Yeah, she recommended. I can't remember the exact words she used, but I felt there was pressure there to have the third one. It's like, no thanks, I don't want to end up in a wheelchair.
So what do you think about the medical profession now you've been through all this?
Right, I've had other experiences since, like, if you look at the Fortune 500, the wealthiest companies in the world, there's a lot of pharmaceutical industries up there. It's all about money, it's all big business. So a couple of years after my vaccine injury, I was in Dubai and I had an accident with boiling water and sustained second-degree burns down my whole arm and part of my chest. And it was after the vaccine injury, so I already kind of didn't trust doctors, but I had to go to A&E or ER room, whatever you prefer to call it.
And we're in Dubai?
I was in Dubai, yeah. So obviously I wanted to get it cleaned and dressed initially. But that first 24 hours, although I was in shock, I went straight online just researching burns, researching alternative therapies for burns, because I could see it was bad. They told me it was second degree and it was my whole arm. But I'm actually an electric cellist, and the work I do is all on stage. It's very showy. People watch me, so I was like, am I going to be disfigured? I wear all these elegant, strappy evening gowns, and it's like I had this cherry red arm, and I didn't want permanent scarring. I know that's kind of the least of the worries compared to some of the stories that you share here. But I had to think, for my work, actually, it matters to get the best healing that I can. But I discovered online that historically they used to use honey to treat burns. So I was in Dubai. I managed to track down a couple of local beekeepers and got in touch with them and asked if I could buy honey off them. The first one that called me back, they were like, well, we don't actually sell our honey, it's just a hobby. But when I told them what had happened, they arranged to meet me later that day, and they brought me a pot of honey like that size, totally untreated, and they wouldn't take anything for it. They were like, if you want to bless us back, pray for our daughters. So it's like, no problem. But yeah, I was researching online, but it's hard to find any information about how to treat burns with honey because there's no money in honey. Although the pharmaceutical industry have actually tried to patent honey. They've come up with a way of treating honey to remove all the dangerous things that could harm you, so that you can only use the patented honey because anything else is unsafe. So I didn't use the patented honey, I used the beekeeper's honey. Kind of came up with my own system of treating it.
So on your burn, you just put raw honey?
It was, there's not much to see anymore, but it was all of there, front and back, and all down here, which I won't show you on camera. But basically, cling film is sterile, so I used to... sorry, I'm not explaining this very well, I'm quite wordy.
No, you're doing fine.
So from the research I'd done, I knew that Vaseline was fairly safe. You don't want it actually on the burn, but traces of it aren't going to do too much harm. So I'd build a sticky Vaseline dam on the skin that wasn't damaged, and then use cling film, pour it in, and then the Vaseline.
But then you put the honey.
So pour the honey in. Sorry.
And then cling film over the top.
Yeah, so front and back. It was quite messy doing it. So I'd do one side of my arm, pour the honey in, put the cling film on, turn it over, do the other side, then do the top of my arm, then do all down here. But I mean, the doctors treated me as though I was mad, but...
What did they want to give you?
Every doctor I saw wanted to give me a different treatment. Literally every doctor I saw. And that made me ask questions as well. Some of them were talking skin grafts. Some of them were saying that long term I would need plastic surgery to make it look nice again in the future. But look at it.
That's
Probably doesn't even show on camera.
No, it doesn't.
But yeah, they basically tried to make me think I was mad. And all of my family were anti-treating it naturally as well. They're like, oh, you should listen to the doctors. That's just what you're supposed to do kind of thing. But I'm quite stubborn, which sometimes is good for me. But actually the doctors that I saw, because I was travelling at the time, it happened in Dubai, and I had a show. It happened on the 19th of December, and I had a show on Christmas Day in Malaysia that I really didn't want to let the client down, because they're not going to find someone else to perform on Christmas Day last minute. So I actually went to Malaysia feeling half late death. Saw doctors in Malaysia as well, spent an evening in A&E in Malaysia, and the next day at another doctor's having dressings taken off and new ones put on.
And you still played?
I kept doing it with honey. Yeah, I played. I had to wear a jacket to kind of disguise, and I wore extra makeup too. It didn't hurt though. I think when you get a first degree burn, it's like in the kitchen and stuff, it really hurts. Second degree burns, you've burnt some of the nerves. So either it didn't hurt because I'd burnt it badly, or prayer stopped it hurting, and I'm not sure which one of those. I am a Christian, and of course I prayed about it.
Just a quick question on your electric
cello. Yeah.
Okay, do you have any... Are you on YouTube? Can we watch you?
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah.
So what do we
And
have?
I'm not under my real name on YouTube. I've got an artiste name, so it's Alison Gabrielle, and I specialise in performing Indian music. So I get booked to perform all over the world at Indian weddings. Yeah.
So what do they Google?
Alison Gabrielle cello.
Okay.
You can find me easily. Yeah, I'm
okay,
sure.
We're going to go and check you out. Okay,
Yeah.
so anything else?
Yeah, so I'd seen doctors in those 2 countries, and then I didn't have anything else that was going to affect people, so I came straight home after that, and saw the doctors in A&E in Coventry, my hometown. But usually doctors in A&E will only see you once and then you'll get referred, because it's their job only to treat emergencies and push you to the right department.
So A&E in England's accident and emergency.
Yeah, so ER room.
And
I think
in America it's ER.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, but because they knew it was quite important to my work and I'd already been travelling and gone through quite a lot with it, they agreed to have follow-up appointments in A&E with me. One doctor kind of took me under his wing, but I think it was partly because he thought I was insane, because I was adamant I was going to treat it with honey. And I think he was curious to see the results, but I've been back to A&E since and shown him my arm now, and his jaw hit the floor. But he said to me, I wouldn't be able to tell anyone else to do what you've done, because we could get sued. We'd have to treat them. So they ignore the evidence in front of them.
That is really sad.
It's the whole industry. And like Big Pharma pretty much own the medical colleges. All the funding comes from Big Pharma. And like I think they take, obviously it's the most intelligent people going through school. They're all straight A students. They have to study for 4 or 5 years to achieve their qualification, and they go through it knowing at the end of it they've got a salary that's at least 100 grand a year. They don't want to mess that up. So they've been brainwashed with all this teaching that's put out by Big Pharma. Am I going to get into trouble for saying this?
Well, if you are, we're pretty much shot dead.
I don't care. I kind of don't care
Everybody
anymore.
just says the way it is, but
it
I
is the way it is.
I love the honey thing. So if I burn myself in any way, shape or form, I can put honey on it?
Yeah, not supermarket honey. You need to find a beakeeper and get totally unprocessed honey. Yeah.
We use local honey.
Yeah, just find a beekeeper who hasn't heat treated it, as natural as you can get it. But at some point I kept a video diary because I realised the way I was treating it wasn't conventional. It was partly to show my sister-in-law, who's a nurse, so she could keep an eye on it and tell me, like, Alison, you really need to go and get help for this because, it's getting worse. So I wanted her opinion, has it got infected? But then after the first week went on, it's like, actually, if this is working, this video will help so many people. You don't need any money to buy honey. Any third world country, they don't need to go and see a doctor. You can just go and find someone.
We need to set up Quack Hospital
Yeah.
online with videos about if you burn, so you immediately press on what happens and you know what
but
to
I
do.
mean, I will be editing all the footage together and putting it online for free on the condition that anyone who uses it only puts it out there for free. No money will be involved.
They're asking, did you take antibiotics?
No.
Of course not.
So honey is antibacterial, it's antibiotic, but it reacts with your skin to create a sterile environment. It produces hydrogen peroxide when it reacts with your skin. So basically it creates the perfect environment for the new skin to grow in. And it grows back without any of the, when usually you see burn injuries, the skin is all gnarly and twisted up.
You have no.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that tip.
If you look closely, you can see I've got patches of freckles missing, but even then, they're gradually coming back. I've got healthy skin there. So.
We seem to have lost where our vax. Maybe we haven't. I don't know. All right. Well, your story's amazing.
No, you're still there.
It's different, and I know that my vax story isn't as extreme, but I think my other experience is a big picture. It's like, it's not just about vaccines, it's the whole system.
It is the whole system, you're right. We always say stay away from the white coats.
Yeah.